think it's important to explore into the deeper ends of who people really are, their records, and how things are going to be moving forward. Because there's obviously Ron DeSantis. I think he hangs out with Jeb Bush way too much. I don't think he's politically smart for attacking Trump at the peak of his indictment. And he doesn't really have a backbone, as he backpedaled on his very soft statement on Ukraine, which was disappointing. But when it comes to COVID, he has an almost impeccable record. He was perfect during those key moments and situations that truly made the biggest difference when it came to pushing back against the lockdowns and the draconian policies that, let's be honest here, were put forward by Donald Trump, who still hasn't recused himself, who still hasn't come out and said, hey, you know, when those 600 doctors came to me with a signed letter begging me not to do lockdowns, maybe I should have listened to them, and he didn't. Donald Trump's administration implemented the 15 days to slow the spread. They're the ones who implemented the lockdowns. They gave everyone $2K checks, which were absolutely nothing compared to the mega bucks that were given to all the major corporations. Billions of them were just handed out to big pharma, to the military industrial complex, to, of course, all the other big international corporate giants out there. Trump went on and attacked Sweden. He attacked his Republican counterparts who didn't want to lock down. He implemented Operation Warp Speed. And I'm saying all of this because it matters. I'm going to tell you why it matters in just a little bit, but he's still promoting the vaccine. He gave Fauci a very coveted award during the last days of his presidencies. And I say this because when we look at Trump, he met with RFK Jr., this is on record, and said, hey, I'm actually going to be investigating the vaccines. Then, according to Bill Gates had a private meeting with him, told him not to do it. And then Donald Trump didn't have an official investigation into the vaccine. And then Donald Trump asked Bill Gates personally to be his science advisor and his science czar, which Bill Gates now brags about. He declined and told Donald Trump that he won't be doing this. Douglas McGregor actually came out and said that he was hired by the Trump administration during the last days of his office to try to get all the troops out of Syria and Afghanistan. Trump agreed with it, signed it, and then didn't follow through. Trump also promised that he was going to release the JFK papers, and then, of course, he didn't, which shows us who's really in charge here when Trump's in office. And this is why I say there's a bigger kind of illusion here. There's a lot of other people behind the scenes here. Trump, again, called himself a nationalist and a globalist. So he could be coming from very different perspectives. He has many different people pulling at his ear. He has a lot of other people making decisions for him as well. And when we look at this broader perspective, I'm worried about a Trump presidency, mainly because it looks like he's going to win. This indictment propelled him forward. And if he does win, specifically, if you are, let's just say, a Bill Gates or a Dr. Fauci type, and Joe Biden even just came out a few days ago. All of them came out and said, hey, the pandemic that we had was nothing. It was just a test run. They essentially said that there's going to be a bigger pandemic coming our way. But if Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States, which it looks like he's on the road to becoming the president of the United States, what better way to compromise him, to destroy his administration, than as soon as he comes out, release one of the other gain of function viruses that they've been working on and developing, and then checkmate. Donald Trump is going to be doing whatever the intelligentsia state wants him to do, going to doing another warp speed, going to promoting another vaccine. This is something that I just personally think about, that I personally worry. And I think it should be on our consensus. It should be something that we should be thinking about, and we should be trying to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire so he comes out and says, hey, guys, this was a big mistake here. I shouldn't have done this. But until I hear that, I'm going to be very skeptical of the lead front runner in the Republican ticket.
No, I mean, I totally agree. He was great on the border, great setting up to China, so many other things, getting us out of the WHO, but then he just transferred it to Fauci and Bill Gates. So then what? I'm not a lesser of two evils, guys, but what do we do? Support DeSantis, support Joe Biden, or just say, hey, these presidents are all puppets. They can't save us. We've got to take over our local governments legally and lawfully and just block it at that level and just not comply.
Personally, the conversation matters. Your input, your voice matters. Holding Donald Trump accountable, even if you like Donald Trump, is extremely important, because these people rely on us and our consensus and our acquiescence to them. And if we stop giving them all of our power and we hold them accountable and we stop worshiping politicians, I think people who support politicians are individuals who believe strippers really like them at the strip club. They're individuals that are obviously in it for themselves here. Obviously, we're in a very tough situation here. The dialogue and the conversation matter. And again, even though I don't agree with Robert Kennedy Jr. on a lot of his policies, He's starting a conversation about the vaccines. He's starting a conversation about our medical system. Conversations that could make people empowered with choices in their own lives.
Well, that's right. RFK Jr., despite the fact that I disagree with some of his policies, has the total establishment against him. Trump only has part of the establishment against him.
What matters most is the ideas and the conversations. And we can't be afraid to have tough conversations. We can't be afraid to criticize our own side. I'm even going as far as saying, hey, Tucker Carlson 2024. I just launched a t-shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, specifically launching a Tucker Carlson for president of the United States, because even though, you know, that's not really kind of logical, maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. But the conversation
I'm planning the same thing. So it's a great idea. Just to say the ideas we like for president.
Exactly. And those ideas and those conversations and holding our representatives' feet to the fire and saying, hey, we as American people, you need us. You need us to go along with your larger messaging here. Obviously, we are in a lot of trouble. Obviously, we're heading down a path of very bad situations that are going to be hitting everyone. And this is the time that I think we have to stop looking for politicians as the saviors of us. We have to stop putting them above ourselves.
But instead, as tools that we have to make work for us. Since you mentioned it, let's play the last 30 seconds of his last show Friday, where he's eating pizza, saying, I'm going to eat pizza. I'm not going to eat bugs. I want to come back and show mainstream news saying you will eat the bugs. It's not a conspiracy theory. We're talking to Luke Rudkowski about it. Play that clip.
Way to start. What a great way to end a week. Yeah. Truly, that was a great segment, and I'm just grateful that you came on, and I'm especially grateful for the pie.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Employee of the week, we're just make it of the year. Tyler Morrell of Coco's Pizza. That's it for us for the week. We'll be back. By the way, the entire episode of Let Them Eat Bugs, not quite as good as pizza, streaming now on Fox Nation. Use the promo code ORIGINALS for 30 days free. And we'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, have the best weekend with the ones that you love, and we'll see you then.
Then he left and gave a Heritage Foundation speech that I thought was particularly powerful, Luke. We'll talk about that, too, before we get into the bugs. We come back where he said it's good versus evil. We have to stop being mindless drones, lemmings. We have to stop going with the herd mentality. That is so true. And he said both parties are the problem. They're working together against you, and that's what the system cannot stand. Luke Rudkowski, We Are Change. I'm Alex Jones with InfoWars. We'll be right back. Stay with us. There's an article up on InfoWars.com that really caught my imagination. And there's no audio to it. It's a surveillance camera in the Arizona Capitol that has a private lounge. Private companies have restaurants, lounges, they lease it. They provide a lounge, they provide food, drinks. And they kept having the Bibles removed and out of the lounge, so that security hit a camera there. A Democrat lawmaker, ordained minister, who goes around speaking out against the Bible, that's why she became an ordained minister, obviously, was opposed to wolf in sheep's clothing, caught swiping and hiding Bibles in private lounge in Arizona State Capitol. Now, you think, well, that's just one crazy person. You know, it's over 20,000 churches the last 5 years burned down and destroyed in Europe. It's happening here. These people are demonically controlled. Doesn't mean churches are perfect, but it's the Bible that drives them crazy, and it's the churches that are promoting that they're attacking because they want the state to be God. And they infiltrated the seminaries, the Protestant, the Catholic, all of it, and they're doing this. So before I hit the other news, I wanted to talk about this, Luke. A Dem lawmaker caught hiding Bibles at Arizona Capitol. What do you think? You know, Elon Musk talks about good versus evil. Tucker Carlson said, you know, he didn't see really believe in God, but he said now he sees it everywhere, that we should pray and that there is an evil force trying to destroy us. What's your personal view on that?
It depends on how far you want to go down the rabbit hole, because we could have a 4-hour-long conversation about this. But I think just to kind of simplify it and just to make it as short and as sweet as possible here, there is a larger spiritual war out there. You could feel it, especially when you start speaking truth, living the truest version of yourselves, and not stifling yourself and just representing who you are as a human being and starting those conversations and trying to help people. When you help people, you feel good. When you don't help people, when you lie to people. Now imagine this on a larger scale. When you start wars, when you release bioweapons, when you run larger psyopses, when you run social media companies that are creating depression, suicide, and self-harm in young children. Imagine how you feel doing those things. And I do believe a lot of these people, there's this famous saying, you always got two wolves in you. One's a happy, positive, loved one. One's filled with hate and anger and destitute. I do believe that once you spiral, your kind of frequency, your energy in those realms becomes very, very prominent to the point where there are other kind of entities, there are other larger energies in this world that are attracted to that do take over when that happens and do have a bigger calling to that. This is
exactly,
why
and they don't want to be
like
reminded of the way out or of God or of higher levels, so that's why they attack it.
And they're allergic to it and they're afraid of it because then they have to give up their demons. And there's a reason a lot of people in the music industry literally say that they sold their soul to the devil.
Bob Dylan says Bob Dylan in multiple interviews said, no, I sold my soul to Satan.
Exactly. Mock child sacrifices, worshiping Moloch, doing unspeakable things in coffins at Yale. I mean, it's not us being the weirdos, right? We can only talk about it on a kind of surface level, to the public. Even then, people are going to think we're crazy. We're not crazy. The people in the coffins, the people running around in the woods naked doing mock child sacrifice, they're the crazy ones, and they're the ones at the helm of a lot of powerful institutions calling the shots here. Making
and
remember,
CERN did mock human sacrifices.
Exactly. A video of that. They had a whole occult ritual. We talked about this on the Timcast podcast a couple years ago. They had a whole satanic ritual where they went over a lot of this. They do a lot of this stuff out in the open. They do a lot of this stuff sometimes because they want to get. And
they do the ritual because you said it creates an energetic web or signature that draws in the energy.
Exactly. And that's why they have their symbols, and their symbols are also connected to this larger kind of force out there. We might be going too far into the rabbit hole here. I don't know how far you want to go here, Alex, but we could go down further.
Oh, we go all the way to the bottom. No, it's good versus evil. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Take us to the bottom, Luke. You're a smart guy, known you 18, 19 years. What at the bottom of the rabbit hole, what's there?
It's a larger fight between good and evil, as you described. It's an energetic force. The life that we're living on right now has many different dimensions that we're not privy to, that our senses are not aware of. And when you really, truly do look at it, you have to be extremely careful how you navigate this world with your own personal decisions, because every little decision you take matters. And this is what they're afraid of. They're afraid of the conversations. They're afraid of you even knowing that there's another side. They're afraid of you seeing them. And once you see them for who they truly are, that absolutely destroys the whole facade. The whole game is over once you're able to see everything that there really are. So this is why it's so important for independent media. This is why it's so important that voices out there go out there and speak the larger truth, because there is a larger residency. There is a larger frequency. There is something, once you start doing good, once you start speaking truth, that you feel a weight lifted off of you, that you feel this larger on a small micro level, a part of the larger spiritual war. And it starts with you being the best version of yourself. It starts,
and that's why they got so mad at Tucker, because I'm told they were already planning to get rid of him before his contract was up in 6 months. That folks are getting the inside here. But when Rupert Murdoch a month before was in Bel Air with his new girlfriend, his fiance, and Tucker was invited, she wanted him there. She read the Bible, Exodus. She said, I think Tucker's a messenger of God. Murdoch left the table, didn't talk to him again, and now this happened. And then they saw that speech at the Heritage Foundation where he said, we got to call on God, because that's us with our free will saying we're open to the good. They don't want us to open that channel. That's why. It was the final straw was God.
It's a spiritual war. And Tucker, during his last video on Twitter, said, quote, current orthodoxies won't last, as he accused both political parties and their donors of colluding to shut down conversations. He said the people in charge are being hysterical and aggressive and are afraid. When honest people say what's true calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. Those are the words of Tucker Carlson, and he absolutely hit the nail on the head. He's absolutely right when it comes to these larger notions, these larger understandings, these larger frequencies and energy vibrations out there that they are deathly afraid of, because all it has to do with is us seeing, and they don't.
Well, I mean, the universe is like a radio station. We decide what to tune to, God or the devil, or ourselves, which is goes back to the devil. Let's play a short clip of his speech at Heritage Foundation. Here it is.
And evil is characterized by their opposites: violence, hate, disorder, division, disorganization, and filth. So if you are all in on the things that produce the latter basket of outcomes, what you're really advocating for is evil. That's just true. Those are manifestations of some larger force acting upon us. It's just so obvious. It's completely obvious. And even I have concluded it might be worth taking just 10 minutes out of your busy schedule to say a prayer for the future, and I hope you will.
All right, so Tucker's told me personally, and I'm not bragging, it wasn't off record, but I never really talked about it because I would give him problems. Now he's fully emerged. It's here. I woke him up 13 years ago. He came here to apologize. We've been friends since, hung on a lot, dinner, visit him, all that. But he's totally on board, totally awake. And it's not about Alex Jones getting the credit for this. This is the listener supporting us, the guest, everybody. But it was this show that was the main thing that woke him up. Like with vampires, Count Dracula, they say, well, Count Dracula bit me, now I'm a vampire. Well, it's the opposite. InfoWars bit Tucker Carlson. And this is one of our biggest successes, folks. And so I'm very proud of it. Luke, comments on that?
Well, truth has a residency, also has a frequency. You could try to deny it for as long as you can, but it surfaces to the top eventually. And when it does, there's a reckoning, there's an understanding, there is an awakening of the general public. And I think we're going through that phase right now. And this is why they're trying to accelerate their psyopses as much as they are right now. He also had said something about prayer, which I think is absolutely important. Some people pray, some people meditate, whatever it is, but just taking 10 minutes to yourself, just to breathe, just to see who you are, what you are, just to try to tune yourself in, just to try to get your gut activated. There's a reason gut instincts are also extremely important. There's a reason the main weapon that they use against the population is to destroy their gut, which is key to their immune systems, which is key to their mental health.
Because we know we have brain tissue in our spine that hooks into our gut. The gut is literally where we feel what our subconscious thinks.
It's the second brain, and it's been directly under attack, not just by big pharma, but by the food industries, the medical industrial complex. Autism rates, by the way, since 1990 have gone up 2,094%. That is not a coincidence. That is not an accident. All the top institutions are just kind of like, whatever. These numbers are going up. Infertility is going up. Our ability to be healthy is being destroyed right in front of us because of this larger.
Our longevity is dropping. Got to go to break for 2 minutes. 5 more minutes. Luke Rudkowski, wearechange.org. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Share Luke's materials. 5 more minutes with him, and then the amazing Drew Hernandez, always on fire, takes over. Stay with us. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. All right, final segment before Drew Hernandez takes over. I'm Alex Jones. Luke Rudkowski's here with wearechange.org. I got it right. My sheet said com. I thought it was like, it's org. It's org. Find all his great work there, his podcasts, his shows, wearechange.org. Okay, so you were making the point about it's not about the churches. That's men, in most cases, trying to get in front of us and God. We know God's real.